Okay, I'm going to talk now. I'm taking notes on a reading that I'm going to be doing titled The High Prevalence of Injury Among Female Bassoonists. It sounds funny, but it's really not. This will surely put you to sleep. Performance-related musculoskeletal disorders are a frequent reality for practicing musicians. Aspects of the bassoon, such as the weight of the instrument and the musician's asymmetrical body position, make bassoon players particularly susceptible to performance-related musculoskeletal disorders, or PRMDs. The International Bassoonist Questionnaire, oh, that's a thing, was distributed via the World Wide Web and ended up being about 58% male, 42% female, 166 people, to investigate PRMDs in bassoon players. Great differences between genders were documented in bassoon players. Females, 100% of them, reported PRMDs more frequently than males, which were only 78%. Female bassoonists were particularly susceptible to PRMDs in the hands, arms, and wrists. So that is performance-related musculoskeletal disorders, which could be many things, I do believe. Musicians have long recognized that playing an instrument involves physical risks. I never knew this when I got into it, but now I know. The first written record of musicians incurring injuries was in the 1713 treatise Diseases of Workers by Ramazzini. I don't know who that is. The medical field began acknowledging these physical risks in the 1980s. So no one did or said anything about it until the 1980s, and the field of performing arts medicine began to grow dramatically. Numerous studies have taken place proving that all types of musicians incur diverse types of injuries. Performance-related musculoskeletal disorders include any pain, weakness, numbness, tingling, loss of dexterity, loss of flexibility, or any other symptom that keeps the musician from performing at the level to which he or she is accustomed. This author includes medically diagnosed injuries such as tendinitis or carpal tunnel as PRMDs. The rate of PRMDs in instrumental musicians fluctuates from 37 to 87% in the literature. Females present with PRMDs more frequently than males. Justification for the significant gender difference has been attributed to hand size and muscle strength. An increased predisposition to joint laxity in females was cited. I'm going to write that down because that sounds interesting. Okay. In 1998, Zetterberg reported that females experience pain in more areas of the body than males. So, Zetterberg hypothesized that this might be linked to females indicating a higher level of stress than males. Could be linked to females. Stress was considered a major contributory risk factor to PRMD development. Another risk factor identified in the development of PRMDs in females was the instrument size. The bigger the instrument, the more PRMDs. In Davies and Meng-Jion's 2002 study of Sydney musicians, they found that female string players reported higher PRMD rates than male string players. Mittelstadt and Fishbein agreed that female string players experienced more PRMDs as the size of the instrument grew, stating, "As the size of the string instrument increases from violin to viola to cello, so does the vulnerability of women with respect to severe musculoskeletal problems in the hand and wrist." The bassoon weighs 6 to 9 pounds and is held obliquely across the body. The bassoon is the largest woodwind instrument. A recent study on bassoon players revealed that bassoon players report a high rate of PRMDs, 86%. This article investigates if female bassoon players report higher PRMD rates than male bassoon players and if the different genders seek different treatment options. I'm going to keep going now. We have a title called Methods. Maybe you're asleep already. Data for this study were obtained via the International Bassoonist Questionnaire as part of a PhD candidature. Previous successful musician surveys were consulted and years of experience as a bassoon performer and teacher were utilized to create the IBQ. The IBQ included questions on demographics, gender, age, years of playing, income from bassoon playing, teaching experience, injury diagnosis, PRMD symptoms experienced, PRMD or injury location, 48 locations specified, injury duration, 6 current or previous durations specified, possible contributing factors, treatments tried, practitioners consulted, perception statements, and exercise history. The Human Research Committee of the University of Sydney approved all processes for this study. The IBQ was distributed via the World Wide Web. The Internet was a successful tool used by researchers conducting surveys starting in the mid-1990s, and the web was already being used as a tool by the music community. The University of North Texas conducted the first study via Internet distribution for musicians. The University of North Texas Musician Health Survey was developed as an online survey to generate a non-randomized, recruited sample of musicians. The bassoon community was invited to participate in the study via personalized emails, online forums, and an article in the Journal for the International Double Reed Society. Bassoonists followed a link to the IBQ and submitted their completed survey online via surveymonkey.com. The IBQ was available online for just over 8 months. Data were cleaned, coded, entered, and analyzed using SPSS statistical software and Excel. The sample size, about 166, had a gender divide of 58 males and 42 females. Just because why not, I'm going to write that down. Results. I love this, it's like a little science experiment. PRMD information by gender. I guess it has a little chart here. Head and neck, female, oh you can tell. Back, chest, and shoulders were almost the same. Arms and wrists, close, but hands was mostly the females. Great differences in injury and PRMD rates were reported between genders. Females reported medically diagnosed injuries more frequently than males. 44% of female bassoon players had been diagnosed with an injury compared to 22% of males. Females and males reported the same number of self-reported PRMD symptoms. Ah, well, that's interesting. Females, however, were more inclined to report body locations where symptoms occurred. Multiple females reported PRMD locations but did not report a PRMD symptom or diagnosed injury. 100% of females reported a PRMD location. Males reported PRMD symptoms more readily than they identified specific location. 78% of males reported a symptom or diagnosis, but only 60% of males reported a PRMD location. If it is assumed that reporting a medically diagnosed injury, PRMD symptom, or PRMD location results in the respondent experiencing some type of PRMD, then 100% of female bassoon players experience PRMDs, while 78% of males experience PRMDs. Female bassoonists experienced injury and PRMDs more frequently than males. Differences in body location. Females reported more PRMDs in all 5 body regions than males: head and neck, back, chest and shoulders, arms and wrists, hands, legs or hips. Statistically significant differences between genders were reported for 2 of the body regions. I'm not using my voice very well. Okay. Arms and wrists and the hands, so those were the biggest differences. It has been noted that as the size of the string instrument grew, female vulnerability increased in the arms and the wrists. The IBQ results indicated that increased vulnerability in the arms and wrists of females is not limited to strings. A significant difference between genders was identified in the number of body regions where PRMDs were reported. Figure 2 shows the percentage of each gender who reported PRMDs in multiple body regions. Males reported PRMDs in fewer body regions than females. The vast majority of males reported no body regions with PRMDs, or only one body region. Some males experienced PRMDs in 2 body regions, but no males reported 3 or 4 regions with PRMDs. In contrast, no female reported no body regions, or only 1 body region that had PRMDs. Females instead started reporting PRMDs in 2 body regions. Many females reported 3 body regions, and females reported them in 4 as well. Females experience PRMDs in significantly more regions of the body than males, indicating a great overall body affliction. As striking as the gender discrepancy in Figure 1 is, it is important to note that some of the males responding did not include locations, and therefore the number of regions presented may not be comprehensive. The location portion of the IBQ was long, and it seems that some of the male respondents did not take the time to complete it thoroughly. It was reported earlier in this article that 78% of males reported PRMD symptoms, but only 60% reported locations. It is possible that the 60% of males who reported some location may have abandoned reporting locations before the completion of the survey, or that the 18% of males who did not fill out location information may have had PRMDs in multiple regions, therefore skewing the data towards the females who were diligent in reporting locations. Regardless of the possible discrepancy in the male data, the female data clearly shows that female bassoon players experience PRMDs in multiple regions of the body. Despite the differences reported in locations throughout the body, there was no significant lateralization among genders. Both genders displayed slight preferences for PRMDs on the left, but not significantly. PRMD frequency and severity. A higher percentage of the female population reported experiencing every PRMD symptom. The female population experienced 5 of the 6 PRMD symptoms, significantly more than males. The only symptom that did not exhibit a significant difference between genders was numbness. Severity of PRMD symptoms was assessed on a 10-point scale. The severity of PRMD symptom was varied between genders. Table 2 shows that where severity is concerned, males experience greater weakness and loss of flexibility than females. So greater weakness and loss of flexibility, while females experienced a greater severity of the other 4 PRMD symptoms. I need to read that again because my brain checked out. Table 2 shows that where severity is concerned, males experienced a greater weakness and loss of flexibility than females, while females experienced greater severity in all the other ones, so pain, dexterity, tingling, and numbness. The only PRMD symptom that exhibited a statistical significant difference in severity between genders was pain. The box plot in Figure 3 shows a one-way analysis of covariance comparing the severity of pain reported between genders. A significant difference in the severity of pain reported between genders was identified. The average severity of pain experienced by females was 3.85 out of a 10-point scale, while males reported an average of 3.2. I think that's this one here. So treatments. Despite the large differences in the number of PRMDs reported, no significant differences in treatments were noted between genders. Respondents were asked if they ever used self-treatments for PRMD relief, including rest, reduced playing time, stretching, taking anti-inflammatory medication, taking painkillers, exercising, applying ice, applying heat, increasing playing time, and using a brace. Females were slightly more willing to try multiple self-treatments than males. Figure 4 exhibits the number of self-treatments each gender tried. I'm going to look at Figure 4 because I want to see what it looks like. Where's Figure 3? Oh, there's Figure 4. Despite their much higher injury statistics, females were not utilizing self-treatment in significantly higher numbers than males. Females also did not seek professional help in greater numbers than males. Respondents were asked if they had consulted any professional practitioners in the treatment of their PRMDs, including a medical doctor, physical therapist, instrumental teacher, massage therapist, chiropractor, Alexander technique teacher, osteopath, acupuncturist, Pilates teacher, and Feldenkrais teacher. That's the only one I don't know. Feldenkrais. Males were slightly more willing to try multiple professional practitioners than females. Figure 5 shows the number of professionals that each gender consulted. The difference between genders was not statistically significant. Overall, bassoonists were not seeking multiple opinions from professional practitioners for help in the treatments of their PRMDs. Given the great difference in the number of diagnosed injuries reported, it could be assumed that the higher number of diagnoses among female resulted because more females went to see medical doctors. This conjecture was not statistically supported. 37% of the female population sought a medical doctor in comparison to 26% of males. No statistically significant difference between the genders seeking a medical doctor confirms that females do develop injuries more frequently. So that was no statistically significant difference. The results from the IBQ support previous research that found females were more likely to report PRMDs. The IBQ results illustrate additional differences between males and females by clarifying that females not only report more PRMD symptoms but also report that more body regions and locations are afflicted. It has been reported previously that males exhibit more specific diagnosed locations, while females report more widespread concerns. However, the IBQ results support that females exhibit greater body compromise. However, the IBQ disputes that male reported more specific diagnosed locations. Size may be a major factor in the female PRMDs, both the size of the player and the size of the instrument. In the literature, female injury increased as the size of the string instrument grew. This increased vulnerability was particularly noticeable in the arms and wrists of female string players. The bassoon is the largest of the woodwind instruments, and female bassoon players reported significantly higher PRMD rates than other woodwind players. Increased injury among female bassoon players was particularly noted in the arms and hands. Both these regions held significantly more occurrences in females than males. This supports the beliefs that hand size contributes to higher PRMD rates among females, and that the instrument size contributes to musculoskeletal vulnerability in the arms and hands of female players. If we accept that reporting a medically diagnosed injury, PRMD symptom, or PRMD location results in the respondent experiencing some type of performance-related physical problem, then 100% of female bassoon players experience performance-related physical problems, and 78% of males experience performance-related physical problems. This new classification results in the overall rate of PRMDs among bassoonists increasing from the previously reported 86%. Males were less willing to report specific body locations, possibly because the location identification portion of the IBQ was long and involved. So that's something important here. Is this still in the discussion? So there was that, and then I also would like to write down no. Particularly noted in the arms and hands. Okay. It could also indicate that males are less comfortable disclosing disc injury information. A long-held cultural stereotype is that males are less willing to indicate medical difficulties. This may account for why males did not complete the location portion in detail. However, males did participate in the study in large numbers, making this reasoning doubtful. The belief that males are less willing to admit PRMDs was also not supported in the average number of practitioners consulted. Although males were less likely to go to a medical doctor than females, males were more willing to seek help from multiple professional practitioners than females. Females were slightly more willing to try multiple self-treatments than males. If males were unwilling to admit PRMDs, the number of self-treatments tried would be higher and the number of practitioners consulted lower, or both stats would be lower. As this was not the case, the belief that males are less willing to disclose medical difficulties may no longer be accurate. Males, instead, may be less willing to take the time to participate in a lengthy survey, but are willing to seek help and answer short questions about their medical difficulties. "44% of females reported a medical diagnosis, but only 37% of females reported going to a medical doctor. It can be concluded that other types of professional practitioners may be utilizing medical terminology and offering medical diagnoses. The performer then adopts the terminology and no longer differentiates between a symptom and a proper medical diagnosis by a healthcare professional. The inappropriate use of medical terminology by practitioners other than medical doctors may be contributing to confusion in performance arts medicine." And that's it.